Alright, so I was asked to make a team with Umbreon, so I made two teams that I'm going to show here today. These are again for the Spooky Cup. If you've been watching these videos and like my content, please subscribe. It really helps out a lot. And, if I keep getting more and more subscribers, that helps me to, keep going and make more and more videos and to keep the channel going. Alright, so the first team here, obviously, I've got Umbreon here. This is pretty standard Umbreon build. I've got a citrus berry on it. A lot of times Umbreon uses leftovers, but I have leftovers on Runerigus, who I'll talk about in a second. Inner Focus for the ability, and then these are pretty much the four standard moves that you put on Umbreon. Foul Play, Snarl, Yawn, and Moonlight. These are all great support moves. Moonlight obviously lets you heal yourself. Yawn puts the target to sleep the next turn. And then Snarl lowers special attack on Foul Play, uses your opponent's attack when it's calculating the damage, so it's really good against Dragapult, and it's good against any other physical attackers. So since Foul Play uses your opponent's attack, you don't need to invest in attack at all. In Snarl, you're using mainly for lowering the opponent's special attack. So I just invested completely in bulk. So 252 hit points, and then I split the difference with defense and special defense to make them about the same. So this makes Umbreon super bulky. It has ways of healing itself with the Citrus Berry and Moonlight, and it's just a really great support Pokemon. Most of the Pokemon on this list are pretty much standard versions of these Pokemon. I pretty much just gave them the typical moves that they get. So the Tangrowth here, this is built the same as the other Tangrowths that I've had. Full hit points, full special defense. Because its special defense is so much lower than its physical defense, you want to fully invest in special defense to make that as good as possible because it's so low to begin with. And then I got Regenerator, Oka Berry so that it can take a fire attack. And then the moves Giga Drain, Rage Powder, Protect, and Sleep Powder. So standard Tangrowth there. Same thing for Hatterene. This is your typical Hatterene build. Fully invested in special attack and hit points with a Life Orb. And then these are the moves that usually give a Hatterene. Same thing with my Marowak here. Give it Thick Club. Lightning Rod helps for Corviknight. So Corviknight is weak to electric Pokemon. So Marowak works really good with the Corviknight here. So Thick Club, if you don't know, it doubles Alolan Marowak's attack. So it looks like his attack isn't very good, but with the Thick Club, it's actually a really good attack. And then I got Boomerang, Poltergeist, Protect, and Flare Blitz. Again, those are the moves that you pretty much always give to Alolan Marowak. And Corviknight, I gave it in a Guava Berry, if that's how you say that. So I wanted it to be bulky and be a strong attacker and still have a way to heal some hit points back. So this berry should pretty much always activate because Corviknight is so bulky. And then I've got Roost again to help heal back even more hit points. And then bulk up to boost its defense and attack. So if you get one or two bulk ups off, Corviknight is almost impossible to beat. And then Brave Bird and Iron Head are its two best moves. Obviously, you get stabbed with both because it's a flying steel type. So again, this is a pretty common build for the Corviknight. The one build that's pretty interesting here is the Runerigus. I gave this thing leftovers, and then I gave it Body Press, Amnesia, Trick Room, and Iron Defense. So this is kind of like a Registeel build. Registeel obviously was really good in the last couple formats before Series 10 because it gets Amnesia and Iron Defense and Body Press, and it's really hard to knock out. So I was thinking I want to try the same thing with Runerigus, and it actually works pretty good because people aren't expecting it. And as you can see, its defenses are really good. So you max out its hit points, max out special defense similar to the Tangrowth. And then I gave it a bold nature. I could have given it a special defense boosting nature, but I want its defense to be really high for body press. So you could go either way with it. A typical lead that I do with this group is Tangrowth and Runerigus, and then I use Rage Powder, set up Trick Room, and then I start boosting Runerigus's defenses. Depending on what Pokemon my opponent has out, I'll either go for Amnesia and Iron Defense, one of the two. And then people aren't expecting that from this Pokemon, so you can usually get one of each off right away. And then it makes it really hard to knock out, especially with leftovers. So it's kind of a cool build. So obviously this team is set up for Trick Room. So I've got two different ways to set up Trick Room. I've got a lot of really bulky Pokemon, and then some of them that do a ton of damage, and some that once they're set up are really hard to take out and deliver a ton of damage. So once you have Runerigus set up, its body presses are going to knock out just about anything. Once you have Corviknight boosted up, Brave Bird and Ironhead are going to do a ton of damage. I also have two Pokemon that are able to heal themselves, with Corviknight having Roost and Umbreon having Moonlight. So there's a lot of really cool elements to this team. It works really well together, and I've had a lot of fun playing with it so far. I think this is one of the more fun builds that I've had so far. And all the Pokemon work really well together, so yeah, I've had a lot of success with it so far. So the other team is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. This is a team that works faster. So it's just your common Spectrier here with Life Orb, Shadow Ball, Mudshot, Hyper Beam, and then I gave it Nasty Plot. In case you're able to Rage Powder with Tangrowth and get off a Nasty Plot, now Spectrier is pretty much going to knock out anything. So Spectrier is obviously a super scary Pokemon. Once it's able to set up with Nasty Plot, or even just after it gets a knockout, that boosts its special attack as well. So once Spectrier gets rolling, it's just such a good Pokemon. So Tangrowth is here to direct attacks away from the Spectrier so that the Spectrier is able to get going. This is the same build as the other one. The Umbreon is also the same build as the other Umbreon. And it's just a great Pokemon to have on a Spectrier team because Spectrier is going to attract other ghosts and other dark Pokemon. So if you lead Spectrier and it's a bad matchup, you can switch Umbreon in for it and pretty much take no damage because people are going to be coming at Spectrier with either a ghost or a dark attack, and those aren't going to do hardly anything to Umbreon. Also, as I said before, Umbreon pretty much is like the ultimate Dragapult counter because it can just use Foul Play, and Dragapult can't really do much to Umbreon. So Spectrier has problems with Dragapult because Dragapult is faster than Spectrier, but you could just lead Umbreon and Foul Play the Dragapult, and there you go, you took care of the Dragapult. So next Pokemon here, Incineroar. Again, this is just a pretty common Incineroar here with Citrus Berry, Intimidate, and then Flare Blitz, Fake Out, Parting Shot, and Snarl. And again, with my Incineroars, I make their defenses pretty even. That's just the way that I like to do it. I know some people will give more special defense because you Intimidate when you enter the battle, but maybe Incineroar's been out in the battle and they bring in a physical attacker, so I just want Incineroar to be able to take any kind of hit well. Maybe that's not the greatest idea, but that's the way I like to do it, and it's always worked out well for me. So that's how I run Incineroar, but pretty common here. The last two Pokemon are pretty interesting. These two are made to work together, so Slurpuff and Toxicroak, if you haven't seen this yet. Slurpuff gets Unburdened, so when it uses its held item, its speed is doubled. That's what Unburden does. So Toxicroak gets Bullet Punch. So if you lead these two, you can Bullet Punch your Slurpuff, which sets off the Weakness Policy and Unburden. So you're doubling its speed and its special attack. So you should be going before anything else in the format because I made it fast enough that it's going to outspeed Dragapult, so it'll be faster than anything else on the field. And then it's able to just start dishing out a ton of damage. So far I've been running it with Protect, but what I'm really tempted to do is to give this Energy Ball as well, and now you're pretty much just able to deliver super effective damage to just about anything. So that's something that I'm considering doing with Slurpuff, but this duo is pretty cool together. So with the Slurpuff, you give it just enough speed to outspeed Dragapult, like I said before, so 116 speed. Then I max out its special attack, and I gave the rest to hit points just to try to make it a little bulkier. Typically, if I'm using this combination, I'm going to Dynamax the Slurpuff. So this ends up being pretty bulky when it's Dynamaxed because you double that hit points, so it ends up, like I said, being pretty bulky. So the Toxicroak, I talked about how it has Bullet Punch on it. So I gave Toxicroak Focus Sash because it's pretty frail. Its defense and special defense are both 65, which isn't very good. So that's why I gave it the Focus Sash here. For the ability, I gave it Dry Skin because Slurpuff has Surf. So I could use Surf with Slurpuff, and instead of doing damage to Toxicroak, that's actually going to heal Toxicroak because if Toxicroak is hit with a water move with Dry Skin, it heals a quarter of damage instead of delivering damage. So again, just those two working well together. The only problem with Dry Skin is you get 1.25 times damage from fire, so you want to make sure that you're not getting hit by a fire attack with Toxicroak. But again, that's why I have a focus sash on it. It's pretty frail, and I'm not expecting it to take a lot of hits anyways. For its EVs, I maxed out its attack because you want to be able to do a lot of damage with it. And don't worry, Bullet Punch isn't going to do that much damage to Slurpuff. It's only a base 40 attack. But you want this thing to be doing a lot of damage. It's not going to be on the field very long, so you want to get the most out of it. And then I invested 60 in speed. So the reasoning for this was I was thinking about Hydreigon. So Spectrier does not do well against Hydreigon, but Spectrier has Hyper Beam. So I forget what the move's called, but the max normal move lowers your opponent's speed. So it cuts their speed by one stage. So I made sure that Toxicroak was just fast enough so that if I use the max normal move with Spectrier and I have Toxicroak next to it, then Toxicroak will go before the Hydreigon and be able to knock it out, because the max normal move by itself isn't going to knock out Hydreigon. But if I use that move and then hit it with Brick Break with Toxicroak, that should knock it out. So that was the reasoning for the 60 speed EVs here. And then the rest I just gave to hit points. So I talked about Brick Break. Brick Break is obviously a good move because it can break screens. Bullet Punch we talked about already. Poison Jab just gives you a stab poison move, so that's good against opposing fairy types and obviously grass types as well. And then I gave it Sucker Punch. It's not very fast, so Sucker Punch gives you another option for a priority move. So you have two priority moves here with Toxicroak since he's not very fast. And then you also have the two stab moves. So I think a pretty good build here on the Toxicroak. So again, this team's been pretty fun to play with so far. A lot of interesting aspects to it. I think personally I like the Trick Room team just a little bit better, but this one's been a lot of fun to play with too. So yeah, that's everything I've got for this video here. If you like the teams, let me know. If there's anything you think that I could change or do better with these teams, let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching the video. I hope you like it.